Hello everyone, it's Monday again, and you know what that means? That means it is time for another WDS sale. And this Monday, this whole week actually, they're putting Salerno 43 on sale. So, and you might have seen in that little title, this isn't just Salerno, which on its own is its own game, and many other companies. This game includes Anzio, I believe Anzio 44 is the year it happened, and Crete. So that is so much content. It's insane. WDS just loves giving stuff like that out for not free because there's a price tag to this game, but they totally could have made all three of those different scenarios separate games. I mean, a lot of other companies have. So right now you can get this whole game for 30 US dollars. I don't know the price point with other companies right now, but I know that they are not too bad. As far as these really big strategy games, I know Gary Grigsby, I think that's how you say them. Those War in the East games, those games are like $70. War in the Pacific, same thing. And I wouldn't say that these are quite that detail intensive, but they're pretty detail intensive in their own right. So let's take a look at Salerno 43, and let's take a look at the WDS post about it. So again, Salerno 43 is on sale. You can find this by going to this website right there. So the background behind this game, Salerno is the initial assault into mainland Italy. They invaded Italy in the south, I believe in Naples. And that was a pretty hard fought battle. And then Anzio, so after Salerno, the Allies essentially were able to grab southern Italy, and Italy had actually surrendered at that point. So at this point, it's entirely in German occupation. So, but the Allied offensive sizzled out. If you look at a map of Italy, which we'll be looking at plenty of those later, Italy is very mountainous. It's full of rivers. It's generally very easy to defend. I wouldn't say very easy, but it's got a lot of favorable terrain. And the guy who was in charge of defending it, Kesselring, same guy who was in North Africa for a long time and had Rommel under him, he was pretty good at his job. So he was able to stop the Allied offensive from gaining much ground, and the Allies kind of fizzled out. So then in 1944, in January, US and British landed behind German lines in what's called the Battle of Anzio. So Anzio ended up being a failure. They weren't able, I believe it was a failure. They weren't able to, maybe they were. Maybe they were. I'd have to double check. There were a lot of casualties, a lot of Allied casualties in this battle. I'll have to double check if they actually won that battle, though. They never fully kicked the Germans out of Italy until basically the German Reich was collapsing. Finally, just as something to throw in, it also includes the Battle of Crete, which is literally the entire island of Crete in Hex Encounter, including British, Australians, New Zealand, Greeks, and then German Fallschirmjägers. So this is insane, and you can see the hex size of these maps. The Crete map is larger than Salerno and Anzio combined, which is insane. Insane that they just give that for free. So, yeah, let's take a look. There are plenty of resources too, actually, about these battles if you're interested, and some videos if that's more your speed. Anyway, we won't take a look at these because I'm going to show you the actual game. So, first we should start with Salerno. So you got Salerno here. Actually, we're going to sort by length. All right, so here's Salerno. There's a bunch of different scenarios all about the same thing, but all about the same battles, but they all have little differences. So you can see this is the historical one. It's got historical setup and reinforcements. And then this is the alternative scenario. Essentially, it's like a more updated version, and it has some different rules or game mechanics. So that if you see that alt sign next to it, that's what that means. And then with strategy options, so that means you can include, typically it includes different landing spots and like different ways to deploy your forces. And then here's another alternate. See, you can get Panthers. And this one, I guess you can get Panthers too, but maybe in a different spot. We'll have to check. Anyway, let's take a look at the historical one. Ooh, here, I need to turn the sound off because that's copyrighted. Background. There we go. All right, so here's the Salerno map. It's decently sized. It's not huge like some of the Eastern Front games that we've been looking at recently, and even like Sicily, it's not that big, but it is still a lot of hexes to fight over. This is more of like maybe the size of a really detailed board game. So there you got a bunch of Axis. Now I have Fog of War turned off, by the way. So normally as the allied player you wouldn't be able to see all of this. Now, the Axis player has a couple of divisions nearby. Here's some Italians. They got tanks nearby. What are those little guys? Panzer IIs, all the way in 1943. Half tracks, motorized infantry, some 150 millimeter assault guns. There's some interesting units here. Over here, more Panzer IIs. Here's the rest of the tanks, Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs. Ooh, got some Hummels. Those things are always super cool to look at. Martyr IIIs. I always like seeing what kind of armor is available. Yeah, so this isn't going to be an easy one for the Allies, not at all, with all that armor. But they do have a bunch of ships. I couldn't think of the word. But you can also see lots of mountainous terrain, lots of brush, which I guess brush isn't hard to defend, but lots of hills, lots of rivers. There's a lot of choke points the Axis can use here. Overall, here's the victory point value. You've got the strength dialogues. You can see allies are just a little bit stronger than the Axis in total of VP, which is really the best way to kind of categorize it. Now, how about, let's do by length. Let's take a look at the strategy one. So this one would let you get Panthers. I wonder if that's as a reinforcement. Okay, so here's a couple of the decisions the Allies can make. They can figure out where they want their reserve, where they want their airborne to go, both of their airbornes. Cool. And then if we flip on over to the Axis in a second, let's just end the turn. Skip that. all. Here's some example of gameplay. Too bad this box is in the way. Some beach landings. Got the U.S. and British, or I should say Commonwealth. Okay. Here's the Axis. Some reinforcements have arrived. I guess you probably have to pull those in. Let's take a look at the Axis strategy. Strategy options. Yep. Oh no, those are all allies. Okay. What about... Okay, so looks like they're going to get some Panthers in here. Anyway, so a little bit of different options with each of the scenarios, and I imagine they're all kind of like that. So now let's take a look at Anzio. Here it is. Geez, Salerno, or Anzio, is 325. Now this map was a little bit bigger. Let's take a look at it. Error. Huh. The OOB didn't want to come up. Wonder why that is. Well, here's the map. You see it's a little bigger than Anzio. You even got Rome up in the corner. Let's try that again. It's very rare that I find... Yeah, huh. It's very rare that these games crash, because they've been out for so long. Usually all those types of bugs are picked through by now. Okay, we'll take a look at just the regular game then. Or I should say the regular scenario. By regular, I mean it's not the alt scenario. Here it is. So, looks like the Allied, just like they said that it would be, the Allied landings are almost unoccupied. But you got German units not too far away. Now, for any of you who are ASLers, well, I guess you could be sign language. That's usually what that means, I guess. But by ASL, what I typically refer to is Advanced Squad Leader. For those of you who like that game, this is actually a great game to kind of create your own campaign in that, or at least take inspiration to do so. One of the things I've been doing is I'll take like maybe a company from one of the battalions on the map and then kind of create a little campaign for them based on what they did in one of my games. Just a little idea for you. So here's the map. You can see most of the Axis units start further up, but as the Allies land, they are obviously going to counterattack. Okay. So that's Anzio. Got an alternate scenario. Let's see. Here's the breakout. Okay, so now you can see, wow, look how they did not make it very far, did they? A bunch of Fallschirmjägers all along here. Oh man, they were able to fortify their line too. Let's see, any tanks? That's where they've got their reserve. There are some tanks. Ugh, I love tanks. They're so cool. Again, I've mentioned in the past, my dad was a tanker, so that's kind of where I got this love for tanks from. No, I thought I remember there being like heavy tanks in Italy. I wonder if they weren't in this sector. Or maybe they'll show up as reinforcements. Anyway, you got a huge Allied buildup. Oh my gosh, look at all these Shermans. That's crazy. What SS division is this? The 10th SS Panzer Grenadier Division. I don't know what those guys' name was, but there are some very elite units here. Anyway, let's take a look at Crete now. This is one of the ones I'm most excited about. Because again, we're going to have a huge, huge map to look at. Yeah, so you got a bunch of different options for Crete. It's only 80 turns, which is very playable, but you got a couple of different options for how everything should be, like how all the objectives should go, how all the units should be. Here's that map. Here's the overall map. What are these guys? Some Greek units. I would love to see a Battle of Greece. I guess that was a campaign, but I would love to see WDS create one for those battles. Maybe you can even include Italy's failed invasion at the beginning. And then after that you can throw in... Ooh, look at those little guys. After that, you can add in when the Germans came in and started taking ground. Interesting. It looks like this will be much more like Battle of Maneuver, because there's really not, rather than Battle of Attrition, because there's really not that many units on the map. Do they get a lot of reinforcements? Oh, I guess they do. They get a bunch of irregulars. Most of the reinforcements are going to come from the Axis, though, obviously. Cool. Well, this is a cool map. It's cool that you get an entire invasion of Crete all in one map, and just as a bonus to the game, really. Got a lot of rough terrain here, though. Anyway, everyone, yeah, that's all for this overview. We have, I'll show you a couple of the other smaller scenarios while I'm talking at the end. But yeah, there are a lot of different scenarios in this game, both big and small. So you don't have to worry about not having time to play these games, because you can have little 11 turn, little 6 turn scenarios, 20 turns. Take a look at this one. Or you can have those big 360 turn scenarios. All of them are available in this game. Generally, it's going to be, the ideal setup will be sort of like elite Axis units against just way more Allied units. And I guess the Allies will be kind of playing guerrilla warfare a little bit in the Crete scenario. But yeah, that's generally how these games go. Usually it's Axis forces that might have more experience or just better equipment versus numerically superior Allied forces. So, quite an interesting match, quite an interesting game, and if you'd like it, if you like the look of it, definitely grab it while it's on sale this week. So, anyway, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you were able to get some interesting tidbits out of this video, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope you enjoy the next one. See you later.